Welcome back to another episode of Headwaters for Heroes Outdoors. On this episode, it is full of adventure. It's full of great hunting. We're taking not one, but two Purple Heart veterans out to the famous Longfellow Ranch in West Texas for some free range management mule deer hunting. We're taking two Purple Heart veterans, and we got so much packed into this trip that we're able to bring you two parts. So right now, let's take a look at part one of Longfellow Ranch.
My name is Dustin Durham. I'm with Performance Equipment Service. We're an asphalt milling company based out of San Antonio, Texas. Our company was founded in 2004 by my dad, who actually passed away this last year in August. But he was a big believer in veterans organizations and giving back to our veterans. And we've been taking veterans out hunting and donating to the events and whatever we can. This is my 5th year guiding out here. We actually leased this property. It's our 5th year. We're on a pretty strict management process for our mule deer. We're trying to grow some bigger deer, and for the last 3 years we haven't shot any trophies. We've just strictly managed. And these guys coming out here helps us fill our management tags and gives them a fun hunt.
So my name's Justin Garcia. I've been guiding for Headwaters for Heroes for about 5 years now. I've got a wildlife biology degree. I got it at West Texas A&M, and I used to help manage a whitetail ranch down in Catarina, Texas. And so I was down there 3 years running hunts and all kinds of stuff. Dealt with a lot of hunters, and I've been hunting all my life, and that's my one and only real passion is hunting. Last year we started hunting on this ranch. We brought two veterans out last year for a cow elk hunt, and they just had a blast. Steve Sweeney and Jacob Hayward came with them, and we had a great weekend. And neither one of the guys had ever shot an elk, and they were just amazed at how big they are and how much meat you can get off of them, and amazed at the country that we have here. And what I really like about this hunt is we can bring two veterans out, and they have that camaraderie. Instead of just bringing one veteran with a couple guides and a cook and whoever else, they've got another brother here with them. I think it really helps them. It makes them feel a lot more at ease, and we all become like family over the weekend.
My dad's a veteran. My granddad was a veteran. My other granddad was a veteran. Fought in wars and done their time, and none of them are injured, but they know a lot of people that were, and especially these guys we have here hunting, and they've paid a pretty high price for our freedoms, which at the end of the day, whatever we can do, whatever we can give or take these guys hunting or fishing or whatever we can do, it's a small price we could pay to help these guys out.
My name is Josh Abatoy. I was born and raised in Valencia, California, and I grew up in Agua Dulce, California. Played football, played baseball, raced BMX bikes, and then in 1998, after I graduated high school, I joined the service. I joined the Army, and then went straight to Fort Hood.
My name is Johnny Nguyen. Originally, I'm from California, San Jose, California, Bay Area. But right now I live in San Antonio, Texas, and that's home right now for me.
My name is Jacob Huberta from Kyle, Texas. Born and raised in Kyle, Texas. Joined the military in '99, the Army Reserves. At that time, in 2003 to 2004, I was in Iraq with the 88 Mikes transportation unit, running supplies from Al Nasiriyah into Baghdad. Back in April of 2016, I went to the Headwaters for Heroes fundraiser out in Harper, Texas. I got to meet Steve Sweeney, the president of the organization. From that time on, we became good friends. Back in April of 2016, he asked me if I could help guide some hunts down in Yancey, Texas at the Santa Cruz Ranch. And that's where my relationship with Headwaters for Heroes started. And I've been with them ever since, doing an average of about 4 to 5 hunts a year. The organization is very true and honest. As a veteran myself, I usually don't bring it up on our hunts to the guys when I first meet them that I'm a veteran, I want them to get a feel of everything, and then I'll sit down and end up talking with the guys. And after talking with the guys, they always ask me, "You served?" And I'll say yes. And usually at that time, we start making a good bond. But I want them to know that I'm there for them first and foremost as a representative of Headwaters.
Oh, we just, got here and went out there and sighted out our rifles and zeroed them out. Everybody's just joking, and it was to me, I've never had like cameras and like there was like 12 people right there just watching me do it. I was a little nervous. I'm not used to that, But it was just nice to get out there and just pull some triggers again. I love the smell when a round goes off, and it's just, there's nothing like it. It really isn't. Unless there's something else that's just that somebody loves, then do it. And if they haven't experienced something like this, just do it once. Come out here with Headwaters for Heroes. They'll get you on something, and just good people, and they're patient. And it's just an experience that you'll never forget. You might not ever have again.
At the Santa Cruz Ranch, Johnny Wynn was one of my go-to guys. I was in charge of the Santa Cruz Ranch for getting all the guys lined up, food and everything, logistically wise for it. And Johnny Wynn became one of my number one helpers out there. He was always willing to help. And come to find out, Johnny is a Purple Heart himself with a lost limb, and he loves to serve his brothers, and he has always helped this organization. He's a very stand-back guy. Doesn't want to be in the limelight, but I am glad to have him out here on a hunt this time and let him show him what it's like to be on the receiving end instead of the giving end, because he has really gave a lot to his brothers and sisters and then given to this organization.
I was Army infantry, and I was stationed out of Fort Hood, Texas. Yep. And then I deployed to Sadr City, Iraq, on my second tour in 2009, and then that's when I got injured. And we're doing our patrol like we always do every other day, kind of getting the swing of things. It was that summer of 2009, and we're kind of just doing our normal patrols, and IED, EFP specifically went off, and before I knew it, my leg, I wasn't. By the way, I'm actually amputated, left leg above the knee, and that's my amputation. And what happened there was, the IED went off, EFP went off, and before I knew it, I fell inside the cab and kind of really wasn't sure exactly what happened. And I was still kind of gathering information to figure out what was going on. Before I knew it, I couldn't feel my left leg, and it was right then and there. Man, something's wrong. Something's up. And I looked down, and of course, it was all mangled to pieces, and wasn't a whole lot left. Attached to my thigh, pretty much hamburgered it from what my medic was telling me. Man, the place is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot believe how far it just keeps on going, and the scenery just never stops. I actually kind of forget that I'm in Texas when we drive around here on that top drive. A gorgeous place. We're out there looking for mule deer. I was the first one up. And it took a couple hours of driving around, some low spots, some slow moments. It's kind of soak in the scenery. Saw a few mule deer here, a few mule deer there, and even when we're seeing mule deer, we're seeing elk and we're seeing javelinas.
We start looking on the side of the mountain. We see 1 deer, 2 deer. There's 3 more. And then there's 5, and then they start piling up and they're running up the hill. And we start looking. We see a buck, and oh no, that one's not management. See another one? No, that's not a management. No, he's too young. Finally, we see one. He's about 250 yards out, and we see him, and he's got his nose in the air, and he's sniffing the does, and we're all excited. It's fairly early in the hunt, and we've got a management buck right in front of us, and Johnny was first up. So we get Johnny on his gun and get him ready to go.
That's when I started getting nervous, and I shoot all day long on my own personal time. I would say I'm a pretty decent shot, but when you put hair on it, I instantly got nervous, and it's been a while since I've I've put a bullet towards at a critter. Finally got to him, man. This is beautiful. My very first mule deer. This is gorgeous mule deer. It's sitting there, and his rack was just huge. I'm used to whitetail. I'm not usually used to seeing mule deer up close, and it was awesome experience. I was nervous the whole way through until he finally actually laid down, and it was at the end of the day I got it done. He's down, and couldn't be happier. After my injury, I had, about a million different things ran through my head. I guess my recovery, you could say, it first started when I woke up in Germany, when they stabilized me, and that's when I woke up to my leg amputated. Being afraid to look down underneath the bed sheets, and the kind of questioning is, is my leg still there? Is it not still there? I was almost afraid to find out. And when I came to, and I still couldn't feel it, I had to give myself a pause. Okay, are you ready to find out? And sure enough, I finally got the courage to kind of lift up the sheets, and sure enough, what was left of my thigh was bandaged up, and vacuum tubes and and everything attached to it to try and save it. And it wasn't there. And I guess that was day one right there of recovery. A million things raced through my head. What's life gonna be like? How the heck am I gonna? How do I go from being this hard charging infantry guy on top of a Humvee with a machine gun, being Billy Badass, to a guy that's now stuck in bed with a missing leg? And it was definitely a wake up call. Went through everything from how am I gonna go upstairs, how am I gonna go to the bathroom, how am I gonna shower, how the heck am I gonna, all these things you take for granted. You do every single day. How am I gonna do all that now? And that was a tough pill to swallow for a long time. I would argue I'm actually more active now, going to outdoor hunting, shooting, going out nature hikes. I do that a lot more now than I was when I actually had two legs, which is kind of weird, actually. But it's all thanks to, gotta give it to Texas, man. Texas loves the veterans, and especially organizations like Headwaters for Heroes, that open the door for a guy like me to get out and hunting, shooting, get with other veterans, like-minded individuals, and give us the opportunity to go out there and walk around and hunt, and with a rifle in our hand, and just really enjoy the outdoors. So I was actually already volunteering my time to Santa Cruz Ranch. I was already volunteering there with a friend that was managing it, and I was there as to kind of help him as a guide. And Headwaters for Heroes came in afterwards, and to hunt there and bring their veterans there and everything. And I started Steve Sweeney and Jacob and everything. And ever since they came onto the ranch, it was such an awesome time having those guys there. That was it's always a hoot, always a laugh, always lighthearted, and that's how I got hooked up with Headwaters for Heroes. And so I kind of guided along with Jacob and all of them afterwards.
And deployed in 2004, 2005, where I got injured September 12th, 2004, from a RPG blast. So we got ambushed, and as I was getting ready or running over to my Humvee to get in it and chase down one of the guys on the south end, I guess an RPG had hit. I didn't realize that it hit the ground, and when it detonated, I had shrapnel on my right knee. So at that point, I didn't realize I got hit yet. So we chased down, couldn't find the guys, and stopped. And one of the guys was like, "Hey, you're bleeding." Took a look down, was like, "Oh man," and and there you go, So that was my injury. One of my blasts. Got 8 TBIs. Saw a lot of, combat in Baghdad in 0405 with First Cav. I was with 1-8 at the time, and then went back again. It was 608 to Baghdad with a 1-5 Cav. Went to Korea after that. Did a year there. Came back 6 months later. I volunteered to deploy with 1st Med Brigade to Afghanistan, where I was in Task Force Med A, was with the S3 with them up in staff. And then 2014, this is probably what really put me over the edge. 2014, April 2nd, there was a shooting on Fort Hood. And I was in that unit that he crossed through, that Lopez guy or whatever his name was. It came in, shot one of my buddies right in the chest on brigade, in 1st Med Brigade. Went through the hallway and shot another buddy of mine, Major Miller, and I was in the building across when we got that. And I was one of the first responders to Lieutenant Arroyo that got shot in the neck on that day. And with it being so close, that really put me on a down spiral. So after that, I met my wife, and I ended up going through a reset program at that point in time. Had real bad PTSD, drank a lot, went through reset, and they started my med board at 17 years. So they medically retired me. Wouldn't let me finish, and I was out that next year.
We're leaving that pasture where all the bull elk are, and we still have some daylight, but we really can't get to an area that holds a lot of mule deer by the time we lose light. So we start working back towards the house, and we're coming down. We make the corner. We start looking down the road, and we just kind of easing down, looking in the brush, looking down the roads, looking all around, trying to see if we get lucky and find a buck. And we make this one corner. We look about 700 yards out, and there's one buck standing by himself in the road, and it's a whitetail buck.
Justin was like, "Look, there's something right there on the road." So we look up there, and sure enough, there's a buck right there, sitting out in the road. So we pulled up a little bit more, kind of got a better look on it, and we pulled up off to the side. He lined me up, and everybody was ready to go. I could see it in my sight, put it right there on the shoulder, and I just lined up and shot him. He went down quick. He didn't go far. It didn't take us much to get out there, and man, we got out there. I mean, my heart's racing, and my breath, I'm like, getting out there, taking a look at it, and getting pictures and stuff. But man, it was broke too, so we knew it was older. It was an older buck. Half of his antlers on one side was broken. So I was like, man, he's kind of like me. And yeah, we did see a lot of movement, a lot of animals yesterday. But with the management that, their management deer out here, the bucks and stuff, and managing this area, you can only shoot certain ones. So none of them that we came across were shooters. And it was literally, coming up close to the sun going down, and we were kind of like all done, heading back and whatnot. And, that's where we came across this one. I mean, it was hard. I mean, we were looking hard for him, and just the way that this ranch is, made, and the size and just the look of these animals out here, they've done a great job managing this property. And I mean, I would definitely come back. If they need a guide, I'll come back and help.
Man, Headwaters for Heroes, ever since I got the chance to hang out with those guys, going back to Santa Cruz, that's been my experience with them. Man, these guys are just solid dudes, all volunteer. So, the volunteers are there, like Jacob, and all of them, and Stevens, all 100% volunteer. They're offering up their own time. So with that, it's guys that down to the heart, down to the bone, that want to be there, want to help veterans, and that hits a special note with me for sure. and not only just veterans, they Gold Star families, the kids and everything. They reached out to everyone, not just us. And so, I mean, I can't think of a better nonprofit organization than those guys.
It's not only just getting it across, but to let these guys know that just because you served in Desert Storm or Vietnam or Iraq or Afghanistan, whatever, it's all brother and sisterhood. We're here to help. You're not alone in this. We're still fighting battles.
Once you get out of the service, you're still needed. We still want you in this world. We appreciate everything you've done for us Americans in the free world.
Man, Johnny got his mule deer. It's gonna go on his wall and it's gonna look great. Josh got him a whitetail. And I tell you what, this was a bittersweet trip because Mr. Kelly Durham, who died last year to COVID complications, who brought us to the Longfellow originally, we so miss him and we could feel his spirit with us on this hunt. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Headwaters for Heroes Outdoors.